Cartoons is back. Holy shit.
All right, I have a thing to say just to start off here. If my audio sounds slightly different, it's because I'm doing this on a phone, because at any moment I could be called into work. So I'm just kind of pacing around nervously. But yeah, since it was your guys' idea, feel free to introduce the topic.
So, I just saw on Twitter that Cartoon Network is bringing back their cartoon segment thingy, right?
Not necessarily. It's not like a segment. It's more of a, like, if you've heard of Cartoon Institute. Just sorry to fucking come in on you there, Thurman, but you immediately did it wrong.
Come on, whatever you want, buddy.
Oh, I can come on you whenever I want. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, bro.
Sweet. I'll add to the smell in your room. So I had to do it to him. Okay. So basically, about 10 to 15 years ago, I don't even remember when it was. I remember I was in middle school and I was hyped. Cartoon Network did this thing called Cartoon Institute. And if you've ever heard of Regular Show, Uncle Grandpa, or Adventure Time, that's where these three shows came from. It was essentially like a kind of open call. I think they helped with funding as well. And they basically were just like, hey, all you motherfuckers, we want you to make pilots to cartoons. We'll help you with funding. We'll help you with whatever. We're trying to find like the next big cartoon, put out an open letters essentially. And that's where they got like those three shows that I just mentioned. So this is exciting because essentially what comes from this, if it's done right, could lead to, 3 to even more big names in cartoons. The next cartoons we talk about for generations. So yeah.
So let me add on to that, because this also used to be a program back when I was younger, called What a Cartoon, which led to I Am Weasel, Johnny Bravo, fucking Courage the Cowardly Dog. So every time that this initiative comes around, it leads to legendary.
The cartoon initiative. It sounds like they're about to kill someone.
It leads to legends. So out of Cartoon Institute, you got your Adventure Time, your regular show. Out of the What a Cartoon, which rolled into what was the block that was Cartoon, that officially ended in like 2009 when Ed, Edd and Eddy had their big picture show and that wrapped everything up.
Cartoon Fridays, and it was Cartoon Fridays, and then Friday Night Nicktoons. That was a time to be alive, my friend. Yeah. You remember Friday Night Nicktoons? Friday Night Nicktoons.
Yeah,
both of these came from like the same dude too, Fred Siebert, who helped oversee the creation of Nicktoons and then did this shit and founded Federator Studios, which did Adventure Time.
Which means that Thurman owes this man a blowjob.
So I want to take this discussion a little bit like on a tangent real quick, because I want to talk about something that will pertain into this. I think this thing is really good, but for a different reason, and I want to explain why. Okay, so I think the first thing I want to say that's good about 2021, well, it could be a negative and a positive depending on how you look at it. 2021 is for the fact that for fans to finally really know the creators of the shows that they've been consuming since they were children. I think one of the biggest things for me was I wasn't really able to know who created the cartoons that I learned to love growing up. And now that I'm an adult, I can do research and be like, oh shit, this guy created this show and this guy created this show. And then like if they have like a Twitter or social media, I can follow them and see what they're doing next, Because I think one of the biggest things about being a manga fan is knowing the authors who your shows, like being interested in what Yuki Tabata's doing, seeing what Oda's doing, Kubo, and blah, 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 blah.
In other words, having an unhealthy parasocial relationship where you want to be their friend.
It's whatever Red has in his mind, sure.
But it's funny. It's funny commentary is what I have in my mind.
Well, I mean, parasocial relationships have been in the news quite a bit recently in our line of, what we do here, and also in a lot of our fandoms.
I ain't pretending to be better than it, okay? I was the motherfucker that when I found out Shane Newville, guy who worked on a bunch of the best Ruby episodes ever, lived like within 5 minutes of David and I was like, where is he? Track him down. I understand, man. Like, also, Togashi's mother runs a fucking convenience store in Japan that you can still go to this day.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely layers to something like that. And
I'm going to visit Togashi's mom.
I do absolutely agree with Thurman. Like, that, the era that we're in right now leads us to a whole nother level of connectivity to be like, okay, so this person is working on this new show that's coming up. They're launching a GoFundMe or whatever to help animate it, and that I can throw money at that to see them have further success, because in this day and age, that's how a lot of shit is getting greenlit now.
Remember Ukulele?
Oh,
the reason
God,
why
yes.
I love it so much is because, like, as the three of us who aren't Psychopaths fans, who will give our creators their space, no stalkers here. Like, I always love getting involved with the creators that I always love, because I had no idea that Gendy Tartakovsky made fucking Samurai Jack, and he made like Dexter's Laboratory. Like, it's such a weird thing to think about. Like, the creator of Dexter's Lab made Samurai Jack. Like, that's such a weird thing,
Like,
and then,
two completely fucking separate worlds, and then now working on this Primal show on HBO Max, and he also made a version of fucking Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
And then, like, you have Craig McCracken, who made Powerpuff Girls, and he made Foster's Home, So, like, I think it's really cool that we're in this age to where we can actually follow the cartoonists that we've known and loved, you know what I mean? And
so long as they don't turn into a Butch Hartman.
Yes, yes, very much. Like, for me personally, I follow a creator by the name of Parker Simmons. He's currently making The Adventures of Mao Mao, one of the best new cartoons out right now. I don't know if I heard it got renewed for a second season, but Cartoon Network has been under the rug about it. Pretty good animation, pretty good fight, pretty funny. I like the characters, all that stuff. But being able to follow like the same people on the same realm, it's like you can follow like actors, you know what I mean? Like, respectfully, of course. I think that's really cool. So the reason why I brought this up is because I think this bringing back this sort of segment sort of kind of gives you the reign to be able to follow the creators that because you never know. Like, they can make a whole new cartoon that's blows up, be the next SpongeBob, be the next fucking Fairy Odd Parents, and what have you, and you'll know the creators. You know what I mean? So I think that's really, really. I don't think there should be a disconnect between fans and creators. I think both interact healthily, but it's just that humans suck and we can't get along very well, and that's just what it is. But I really enjoy that, because being able to follow my favorite creators on Twitter is actually really cool. Seeing them, draw on Twitter, seeing them comment on certain things, like I like the interaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would definitely love to see more of that happen, because I mean, how many of us really know the names of the creators? Like, I really do like about American cartoons is that most programs will say, this show was like, will have the title of the show, and they'll be like, created by, this, right? So I think that's really cool.
I mean, anime does that too. You just can't read Japanese.
Yeah.
Like, literally every anime opening has the name of the author.
Yeah. And let me just grab onto there for Thurman for a second. So, Red, you probably don't have as much of a attachment to it as I do, not being that big into the game. But I'm a huge Castlevania. I'm a huge Castlevania fan.
Oh,
when they made the,
I didn't know what you meant by the game. I was like, what?
Like,
the cartoon game?
No, like when they started making the Castlevania anime / cartoon, whatever you want to call it.
Andrew showed me all of it. It's very good.
It's phenomenal. So I started seeing like the creators of it like interacting on Twitter. I'm like, okay, so now I'm following both of the deets that work at fucking Powerhouse Animation, and today, they dropped the teaser, the key art for season 4 that was greenlit. What seems like fucking 84 years ago.
Well, I imagine Corona probably fucked.
Oh hell yeah! That, like, most of it's being remote voice acted. Essentially what happened to the last volume of Ruby, which gives me a little bit of a concern. Warren Ellis is leaving after this season as well, which gives me a little bit more concern as well, because he's made a fucking masterpiece on this. So this might be the last good season, and given Netflix's like love of cutting shit like Shonen Jump, I have a little bit of I actually have a major concern for it meeting the axe after season 4, but with it looking like they're adapting Symphony of the Night, It's
So how
the-
does this relate to Cartoon Institute? Just out of curiosity.
this has been a cartoon that or an anime that has been shipped around for years and years and years and years until it found a home at Netflix. And we've talked and talked and talked. Every time we cover cartoons here, like that was seemingly the way to adapt more and more cartoons was going to this streaming service or this streaming service.
Yeah, weren't we just talking about like you and I and determined recently, like personally, not on a video, about like what's Cartoon Network gonna do, like pretty recently?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
less than a week ago.
But it's really interesting. So like this isn't like, are they gonna continue? Like, how are they gonna adapt? Is my big question. Are they
Yeah.
gonna continue trying to like play this shit on cable like normally? What they really should do is just, instead of being a channel, like almost like turn into just like a studio, like almost like think like Ghibli, like a studio that produces shit.
Yeah.
Or and then just like kind of be a studio that funds cartoons, funds really smart and creative people to make cartoons, and then sell those cartoons to streaming services. Like, okay, from Cartoon Network now on Netflix, but bam, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and see, that's something that a lot of other studios have started doing. And what Thurman and I had this interaction for like a good 2 hours on Twitter, right as we were having this conversation in our group chat as well. Like, the reason there were so many gutted programs was a lot of those shows were supposed to help boost HBO Max's original lineup. And that's where, you got your Infinity Train last 2 seasons, you got fucking like the Distant Lands, Adventure Times, and a couple other cartoons that were just forced onto that to help like pad that out so that it would survive into the summer and winter. When like all the movies and shit was coming because Corona and everything was going on. And now that we have cartoons coming back, it's being billed. And I have the tweet here that Thurman initially tagged me in. I'm like, okay, this is a fucking video. But I'm not having no for an answer on this being a video. It's being launched as a new shorts program. And it's dedicated to finding new and diverse ideas and animation styles in the wide world of animation. And the tweet here being from The Rise and Fall of Nickelodeon. And I Googled it, like 700 different fucking websites are reporting on it because we live in like instantaneous gratification era where everybody has to be like, oh, I need to
society.
I need to get on this right now. I'll shit out like a 30-page fucking like article for my blog. But like you raise a great point there. And
I mean, we're doing the same thing if you think about it.
Yeah,
oh my god, we gotta do a video on this.
I can't say we're without fault here, but like,
oh, there's no fault. I was just saying there's nothing wrong with a excited blog man.
Yeah, but like what really interests me, and I want both of your guys' thoughts now. I really love this idea of dual like media where we have this show here works best on network television, and that's where it definitely belongs. And then these here would thrive better on a platform like your Netflix or your Hulu or your HBO Max.
I have a question. What kind of show works better on network television, and what kind of show works better on streaming?
Teen Titans Go is a big example.
Yes.
Teen Titans Go.
So the kind of shit you would binge versus the kind of shit you wouldn't binge.
Yeah.
But not even like binge though. Like I feel like because we have to remember, program TV is mostly like mostly for people who want to pass the time. Like when you think of Cartoon Network now, most parents just sit their kid down in front of a TV and it's like, here, just watch this until I'm done work. You know what I mean? So like, so shows like, despite how much I didn't like it, like the shows like the like Ben 10 reboot, Teen Titans Go are actually better for kids because it's not really much. You know what I mean? Like
when you throw like an Adventure of the Week style show on there, your Rick and Morty's, your Teen Titans Go, your Scooby Doo's, these tried and true formulas, those work best for a network television where like you can miss 3-4 episodes and not miss a beat. Those work great on network television.
The thing about that too is that like it all depends on the type of audience you're going for. Because the Scooby Doo example is actually the perfect example because there's so many seasons, there's so many shows of Scooby Doo, and not everyone is necessarily for kids, if that makes sense. Like I think one of the best version of Scooby Doo was the Mystery Inc.
Yeah, absolutely agreed.
Best written Scooby Doo show in its entirety. That one should be on a streaming service because it's actually a plot. It has Adventure of the Week, but for the most part, it has a leading plot leading up to it. But shit like Scoob should be on the program because it's not really much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's actually a pretty good example. So I really think it depends on what the program is going for. Like if you're trying to get like your Injustices, your Ben 10s, Generator Rex, Adventure Time shit, you put that on the streaming service because that's mostly where people are going to. You're gonna have people of all ages on there, while the program is just gonna be for like a specific demo, like kids or teens. Because I don't know. My family still watches TV. Like my sister does, my mom does, my grandma does. But like me, I only watch program TV for the cartoons. I'm gonna be real. I only watch for the animation. And Nick, Disney, and Cartoon Network have been shit when it comes to their programming because it's just the same reruns over and over and over again, the same 2 shows that they have. So like, it's not really interesting. And fun fact, honestly, the only really way you're gonna see anything remotely different is at night, like 10 o'clock. That's when like old, just like even for like Nick and Disney, if you want to watch something like Unique, you have to wait until like 10 o'clock, to watch that shit. And no one's gonna stay up till 10 just to watch some cartoons. I'm gonna be honest, right?
I personally think it's written in stone. It's not a matter of if, but when. I think traditional TV is dead. Even this idea that you're saying, where it's like, oh, you could put this kind of show on normal TV. I think literally like 20 years from now, and that might be being generous. 20 years from now, I think that it's going to be like everything. Even if you just want to waste time, you're going to go on to some sort of streaming service and be like, okay, put this on just to like autoplay. Like David does this every time over at his house. He's got some shit in a playlist just playing in the background.
Yep.
You can essentially recreate like normal TV. I don't think it's going to exist anymore though, because cable is failing. Like you can look at like the reports. Cable is losing so much money.
Yeah.
Because the thing is too about the streaming services. I think the biggest thing that everyone likes about a streaming service so much is that you, as a consumer, are in control. When it comes
no
to
ads too.
Yeah, and the program on the TV, like commercials don't really bother me too much.
It proves that people are willing to pay extra for no ads. Like people don't mind paying like, oh, okay, well I'll pay this much money, and then it's because think about it too. Cable, you pay more for you just look at ads. So I mean, like that's kind of what we're realizing now is that like and they're gonna try to sneak in ads. Don't get me wrong, they will try. But hopefully people will push back enough.
Yeah, and it's just like when it comes to that sort of thing, we gotta kind of understand that. I agree with that 100%. And honestly, 20 years is definitely generous. I could say 10 at the latest.
Yeah, me too. I was trying to get myself some. Yeah.
Because streaming services are just overall better. It's just prove like I'm actually shocked Netflix hasn't killed TV yet, but people are still like it's just
boomers and Gen X.
Yeah, boomers and cable TV hanging on that thread. And honestly, I feel like most like internet package providers might just try to they're gonna have to give up. It's sort of like how like a lot of train tractors, like that industry had to be like shit cars are being really, really popular now. So we have to change our shit to like cars now. Like I can see it being like, oh, if we want to keep up with the times, instead of giving out like cable packages and shit, we'll probably make a deal with like Netflix or Hulu or HBO Max or these companies. And
Xfinity already kind of does that too, because
have like packages for streaming service. It's only a matter of time. Like if it makes money, like these are some people who've been making money for years. If they want to find something like that, they're gonna be able to do it. But the thing about it is, and the reason why this is such good news for the animation side of the American animation side of the cartoons is like Cartoon Network just ended the Ben 10 reboot. Whether you're happy about that, it's completely up to you. So what makes it so exciting is that it seems like Cartoon Network, whether or not you want to believe it, actually somewhat cares about their program and is trying to get new things. Because the one thing me and David were talking about on Twitter is that a lot of the shows that come out now just feel very bland. Like there's no like heart or quality to them. And then I see all these people...
A big thing that I notice is that like when you look at something like Adventure Time, it's got like a world. It's attempting to take you somewhere. Whereas a lot of the really low tier shows just take place in our world, and it's just kind of a slice of life but with no heart to it. You have like every single character trope, but like it's nothing interesting. No interesting kind of gimmick or catch to it. No interesting character. Yeah.
So, and then go ahead, David.
Yeah, so just harkening back to that Twitter conversation, that's what I've noticed is the formula of like meme humor. Like there's no lasting effect to what's really put into this era of cartoons. You have something that is relevant to the now because they can shit it out in 3-4 days at a time. Almost, I hate to use this as a metaphor because they do it so fucking well and it stays somehow time and time, just absolutely timeless. But South Park, they do an episode in like 7 days to air. That's where they actually sit down, storyboard, animate, and then push it out. But
oh yeah, I mean, like, you give me enough time, I could make a South Park episode. It's like, it's very animation wise, it's quite easy. So it's a very good formula they have.
yeah, but essentially, like, these new cartoons were using that same method but failing miserably because they're latching onto, okay, what's the trendy meme right now? What's the trendy TikTok dance? Or like, I will forever go to the example of Bubbles fucking twerking. Was
it Bubbles too? God damn it.
It was Bubbles and Blossom.
I want to kill myself. I'm glad. You know what? Buttercup remains unsullied. My favorite Powerpuff Girl down to the fucking bitter end.
But like that was the absolute low point for this kind of formula that Cartoon Network has been utilizing. And I really don't watch a whole lot of like Disney or Nickelodeon anymore because there's not really been anything that interests me that they've debuted.
Nick is just trying to hang on to this real life action bullshit, and they're failing miserably. Like, they're trying to capitalize on like the victorious Drake and Josh iCarly shit. And remember, the creator of that show is a fucking pedophile. So
was he? Oh, wait, hold on. Was he actually? I've literally never heard anything about this. Was he really?
He essentially had a thing for feet.
I heard he had a foot fetish.
And was using all the young actors to feed on his foot fetishes.
Yeah, you have to look it up. You have to look up the research. He's a fucking creep.
A creep, so, yes. I wouldn't say technically pedo.
You know what? Let's not get into it.
But going back to what David was saying, yeah, so like it's really good because all the programs don't really know what they really want anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's more so of and I see the argument all the time.
I'll tell you what they want. They want success, period. They don't care if it's a well thought out show or like a meme dump with like a fucking kindergartner twerking, as long as it gives them money.
Who's gonna?
Well, I mean, they're soulless executives. By the way, because I've been really into Adventure Time recently, so I've been like reading up a lot on the history. And you know, Rebecca Sugar, the person who
went on to make,
she made
Steven Universe.
She also worked. Excuse me. Hello. What?
Yeah, the one that
I didn't
created.
Hear what someone said.
Yeah, I'm saying went on to make Steven Universe.
Oh, the thing that I was saying.
Yeah.
Cool.
It sounded like you were about to drop on the call there. I'm like, oh shit.
Anyway, she also worked a lot on Adventure Time, and she, if I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure this is true, she wrote most of the songs for Marceline on Adventure Time. So the Adventure Time, around like the end, like seasons 6 through 10, they started deciding to like, you know, go towards the whole Marceline bubblegum might have like a lesbian relationship going on, right? And apparently, because like I was reading through the Wikipedia of it, Rebecca Sugar, after the show ended, she came out and talked about this. When she first decided to like try to pursue that in the earlier seasons, some like big shot executive at Cartoon Network went up to her and said, "Remember, you work at a company. You can't just do anything you want." That's the actual quote. "Remember, you work at a company. You can't just do anything you want."
I believe it.
And then, as you can see, as the world got more accepting, at the very end of the show, they did at least let her do the kiss. You know what I mean? Between them. But like the fact that they can just go up to you, and if there's anything that they don't like, be like, "Remember now, we're your overlords. We control the money." Same thing happened with Gravity Falls. He wanted to do have two minor background characters, you know, just be gay instead, and then they were like, "Nope, can't even do that."
Yeah, and he went on to say, if I remember correctly, if I would have waited 5 years to pitch that, it would have been totally acceptable, or something along those lines in an interview. And
well, with Alex, it was funny. With Alex Hirsch, the guy who did Gravity Falls, he was talking about how he specifically wanted to make them say it because he was going back and forth in an email with Disney execs, and they were like, "Yeah, this scene isn't acceptable," and he was like, "Why?" And it was like, "Well, you just have to change one of them to a man." And he was like, "Why?" He just kept saying why, and so they were like, "Listen, man, like, yeah."
Yeah, and when you get down to like Rebecca Sugar and the pushback from the network, and this is why streaming services are obviously the way forward. I will not argue with you on that. There will
The
be a
more
day.
control that the creator has, the better for all of us.
Yeah.
Also, one last thing I'll say, and then I'll lead it back over to you, David, just because I think this is a great point. Rebecca Sugar kind of pulled like a Togashi, like drop her balls on the desk. You know how we always talk about that, because they were shit talking her, and then she came back and like she's been basically a part of like every single popular thing they've had in the past 10 years.
Yeah, and like
Steven Universe goddamn carried their channel for like the last 10 years.
it really has, and she even got pushed back on stuff in that leading up to the finale.
Oh, yeah.
Like massively, she wanted to do more with certain characters being romantically involved, and like all of the fusions being like this almost sensual dance of
It's such
power.
a great point people make that, like, I think it was her that said this or someone along those lines, at least maybe it was a TikTok, but someone was talking about how, you see, the reason that people always push back on this and they say, oh, but it's for kids, why do you have to do stuff like that for kids? It's because they look at romance and immediately think sex.
Yep.
They don't think any other aspect of romance, all the other shit that goes into love. They just think romance equals sex.
And sex is not even the first thing to think of when it comes.
It shouldn't even be 50% of it. It should be 5% of it.
And that's the sad part about that generation that is still in control of media, being like, oh, we can't do that. Think of the kids. And kids don't even think like that. That's the dumbest
kids
thing.
see a titty and they're like, milk.
Okay, Nuxtaku.
Kids see a titty and they're like, milk.
You
I
really
hate streamers to say the N-word.
fuck him. Anyway, like that's such a fucking stupid, out of date view that's still holding so much weight over what a creator can do on network television. I'll always quote George Carlin and like the words you can't say being one of the truest skits ever in comedy. But
Piss
like,
shit, cunt, motherfucker.
but there really is this unspoken rule of like there are things you can't show on network television, and that's
I think we're getting better.
That's completely thrown out the fucking window on this streaming service. You still have a ratings.
I'm sorry, I was just watching through Adventure Time. Like, have you seen, like, you just look up a lemon grab compilation. The fact that they can show a lemon human man punch a rat and then eat regurgitated pie out of its throat, but they can't show like a gay kiss.
Yeah, I don't see how they're like, this is perfectly acceptable for a 5-year-old to watch.
Horrific shit in Adventure Time. Like, there are episodes where I'm shaking, like, because it was so horrific. There's one where Lumpy Space Princess has like this psychotic breakdown and like because she's looking for love, and then she finally gets like a guy who's like genuinely cool to her, but she's so psychotic that she like keeps thinking that he's gonna cheat on her even though like he hasn't done anything, and then she like kills him. Like literally she uses this like time displacement machine from Bubblegum that Bubblegum gave her, and like tries to send him back in time to I'll send you back in time to when you still loved me, and then she sends like half of him and then the other half, essentially cutting him in half.
Yeah, it's insane. But oh god, two characters kiss of any gender identity, and oh no, can't do that in a kid show. Remember
when Oda go ahead.
Wait. Think about fucking Courage, what nightmare fuel that was. But no gay kiss, kids.
It's very strange how people are with the sex shit. Also, I always wonder if Oda, and Thurman, you'll remember this well, and I'll be curious if David remembers this too. But there's the arc, very early on arc, like I think in the manga it must have been 2008, 2009, where they go to the gay island and the gay part of Impel Down, and like the main like guy there, the main them there, his power is to just their power is to just change people's gender on the fly, and they have this whole speech about how gender is bullshit, and like we all live on this weird like teeter-totter of like he, her, they, anything in between. That was hella forward for 2009. I wonder if there was any like controversy or like people getting pissed back then when that chapter came out.
I mean, yeah,
Japan is more conservative than our place sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it really just depends, eh?
Yeah.
It really depends on who, I mean, I don't know.
I was curious. You don't gotta. It doesn't have to deal with the video.
Yeah.
That's a good point though. Like I wonder, culturally we are so different, and us being more manga focused. If you're finding this video via algorithm, miracles.
I don't even think. Do they have gay rights in Japan? I don't even think they do.
Yeah,
like,
there's people who fight for it.
Gay marriage. That's what I'm checking, because I feel like I just recently saw a thing where they're still like doing protests for gay marriage in Japan.
Anyway, just to weigh onto that, like we're so culturally different. Where like here, pornography is just a norm, and over there it's censored to, like, oh, we got like a white blur, we got a bar over a dick, or tentacles.
It's really strange how it is over there, because they both have more and less, because they're desperate for their people to be more horny to make more kids, but they also are like, you can't show a penis though.
Yeah, it's so the cultural norms like that fucking fascinate me in some weird sort of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just looked it up. It is still banned over there, but there's big shit happening. Like as of March of this year, March 2021, one of the big courts in Japan ruled that same-sex marriage, the ban is unconstitutional. So it sounds like big moves are happening over there. They'll probably legalize it this year.
Yeah,
that's great, bro. So I'm trying to rein it back to the topic of the video.
That's the chaos, brother.
So going back to the way of the video, great side tangent.
I'm sorry, one more side tangent, just because I think you'll appreciate this. I just got a comment on the One Piece video from Demon Knox. Red is once again trying to suppress Thurman's basedness. Apparently, you said some base shit. I don't even know what it was.
I say a lot of base shit. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, going back to the topic of the video. So, one of my biggest hopes for this is I want to see finally, and one of the biggest things in the tweet, it says animations from like different like backgrounds, I think, like different areas. That excites me because I want to see animation from different countries. In fact, I know you guys don't see me talk about this much, but I am a huge fan of animation from other countries. I think China's animation is actually really, really well done, fight choreography wise, and Canada's cartoons are actually really, really good.
Johnny Test.
We got those, and I'm happy we did, because those were a great part of my childhood. Some cartoons I didn't even know were Canadian based. Like I think 16
Almost Naked Animals.
That shit was
all I know is Johnny Test. I'll be honest.
Like Total Drama Island and Johnny Test were great.
Dude, Total Drama Island is so good.
I know
there's supposed to be a new season of it.
And isn't it? Wait, is the new season of Total Drama Island? Is it like a streaming thing?
I have no fucking idea.
Unrated. I want an unrated.
There's an unrated cut of all. There's an unrated cut of all the seasons on YouTube.
Yeah, but all it is like they swear more. None of the jokes change. Like no. I want what essentially equates to like the final season of Samurai Jack, only on Adult Swim, but for Total Drama Island.
Oh god, that would be awesome, actually.
Yeah.
Let Chris kill a contestant.
No, I want it to be like someone walks in on two people like fucking or whatever, and or like Stacy gave me an STD. Wow, what a bitch.
Now I got chlamydia. Oh fuck.
My name is Chris McLean. I'm definitely not fucking one of the contestants here. He would.
Find out how they won.
Yeah. He's just like giving them hints or like advantages, like unfair. That could be a whole arc, like Chris McLean giving like one of the females like a bunch of advantages on the fucking games or whatever, and then they're like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And then just
cuts the contestant giving them a blowy.
That's glorious. Anyway, and then Chef was his name Chef?
Yes, it was just Chef.
He could say the N-word, bro. He could just be dropping it left and right.
You know he would. He definitely.
He
definitely would. It'd be full on Uncle Ruckus Chef. Give me Uncle Ruckus Chef.
I'm thinking like Samuel L. Jackson type.
Listen here, you motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. He does give off that energy. But anyway, I know, Thurman, you were saying something. We cut you off. Go ahead.
So, because one thing I really wish that, and Cartoon Network was the perfect place for this. I really wish, like, countries, like animation from other countries.
Countries like Cartoon Network. We're not too far off.
besides Japan, sorry Japan, but besides Japan, gets love because I feel like we focus too much on like Japan's like animation because it's good for good reason. It's really good. But
It's
it's just
essentially their entire GDP. We have guns and horrific war weapons, and they have animation.
because it's just like we some of the cartoons we didn't even know grew up or came from other countries. Like Johnny Test, Toadjama Island are Canadian, and then I know France has some great animation that we sleep on. So I really would like it if with this sort of opportunity. How similar to how Japan finally let their manga competition be open to like the whole country, like not the whole country, the whole world. I wish Cartoon Network would do it for that because there's a lot of aspiring cartoonists in other countries who probably can't get their shit, on the air because I know Russia's very, very, very heavy against gay rights. So like.
Yeah, so Russia. I mean, have you seen their leader? He's like a shirtless, muscly dude riding a bear.
Because I know in Steven Universe, he showed. I know Steven Universe showed that
all the different censorships of that one scene. Yeah, when they're like dancing and shit.
Wanted, it was like the two lesbian rocks kissing, and they had to turn one of the rocks into a guy because they couldn't show that in
I don't know if they did that. Did they do that? I thought they just cut away from it.
I heard they changed the gender of one of them.
It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know how you would. What do they do? Give it a big old fucking dick?
Like they changed, like they made it like have more guy-like features.
That's so stupid. Doesn't that just show immediately how like superfluous all this bullshit is? Like there's a great TikTok where it was like a Halloween store and there's two skeletons like kissing. It's like a bowl of two skeletons kissing, and from the back it just looked like two skeletons, and then the person was like, "Oh no, two skeletons kissing, gay skeletons," and then they turned it around and one of the skeletons had a bow on its head, and they're like, "Oh okay, female skeleton, that's okay."
That's actually really funny. So not really funny, like that's like good funny.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So because it sucks. So like aspiring cartoonists want to get their stories out there. It'd be great if this is a perfect opportunity to do so because I really like Cartoon Network doing this because it kind of shows that they still care about money, but also about creators. Because I feel like they're just greenlighting everything that's gonna. Because it's just like how Jump barely has a magazine. Cartoon Network barely has a fucking program. Like,
well, I will say this about I was talking about this to David here. It seems to me, and this is good news. It seems to me that over the years, producers and like the people that give the money to the creators, they're starting to realize that that they just need to take their fingers out of it. Because I think the internet's a beautiful thing. I think they now know that no matter what, inevitably, if they fuck with shit, people just either innately hate it or after the fact, the creator will come out and be like, yeah, they fucked with shit, and then they'll get hate for it. So I think a lot of producers are realizing if we just leave it alone, it actually ends up being really good and makes us more money. So yeah, like I think that is a good thing that's been happening recently.
So I hate to bring this.
It's kind of the same dynamic. Sorry, one last thing. It's the same dynamic how anime producers are realizing that people hate filler, so they're just finally going to seasonal. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, my internet cut out there for a second.
So
I'm pretty sure I agree with what you said, Red.
Yeah. So I hate to bring this example up, you guys, but I really do want to bring up the, like Red was saying there, like there is the dynamic of the internet masses causing an uprising and like, okay, now something needs to change. Look at the Snyder Cut and the Sonic like reanimation and how much
the Sonic one is such a good example, man. Like that movie became actually good because of the amount of people that were like, change it.
Yeah, and the Snyder Cut showed how much like a mass like uprising can change an entire movie. I haven't watched it. I don't know if it's any better because I hated Justice League.
I've heard that it was like even Critical came out and was like, it's not perfect, but it's obvious that there was an attempt to make this good, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it only took a buttload of money, but hey, it changed it, and now we can see that for an entire network moving forward. Just to weigh it back into the topic here, because this has been all over the place, and I love it because it's our fucking brand. But
no, it's a good video, bro.
It is.
I'm so excited, and I hope we get something you know, akin to like
Story.
Adventure Time, because like my favorite kind of cartoon is one where it like puts you into a whole new world to explore. That's why I love One Piece so much. That's why I've been loving Adventure Time so much. Like, give me some exploration, give me some adventure, give me some fucking great characters.
I just hope Cartoon Network just lets the animators do what they want. I just really, really don't want it to be like I don't want them to essentially sort of like hold back these creators on their ideas, because I think that's the biggest thing that sucks about these companies and why a lot of people going to like Netflix and Hulu and all that is because
even Netflix does it.
Yeah, because it's just like, don't hold them back from, you know, their potential. You know, the whole point of essentially making their cartoon is it's the same thing with writing, getting your story told out there. You know what I mean? Cartoons are just another form. You can be a Bill Maher and say it's just for kids. You shouldn't be reading kids.
I remember doing a video on that.
Yeah, we did.
2018.
You should don't read comics. There's not good storytelling. Read like old 50-year-old stories. Free shit.
Like, or all the women on Twitter that are like, I would never fuck a man that would like be reading comics, and I'm like, man, you don't know how many amazing women out here do the same shit and love it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's just like you have shit that's just so good, and don't hold them back. Like American cartoons are another great form of storytelling. Like I can name 3 series that I love just from the storytelling. Ben 10. Probably one of the best. It's Adventure of the Week, but the storytelling, like the world building, the character
it builds the shit, yeah.
Like Red is blasphemy. He doesn't like Alien Force, but like Alien Force, I think Alien.
I just thought that Ben got boring when he was an adult.
I mean, you can argue that, but like it's just like it's so good because you had like the plot going up, and honestly, I was really shocked when Ben 10 first ended and Alien Force was announced when I was in middle school. I was so hyped when I came to school. I was like watching the first episode of Ben 10 Alien Force. Continuation. Ben's a teen now. Everything's great. It was just like so cool to me, right? Then you have like General Rex. You have like The Amazing World of Gumball, which is
Anybody
amazing.
remember the Secret Saturdays?
I don't.
Yes, that was a good ass cartoon. I actually. Oh, thank you, Dave. I need to re-binge that. Like hell, even fucking the TMNT 2003. Bro, that shit was so good. Like, good storytelling. Like, bro, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I see a lot of people being like, on Twitter, even I said this, David, I was just like, they're just like, well, the current gen of cartoons isn't for you. It's for the kids. So it's just like, but why would you want your kids to not watch quality? You saw the cartoons that we had back in the day. Like, I get it. That's a somewhat pleasable argument, I guess. But why would you want your kids to watch garbage? Like, I don't
You can always make a cartoon be entertaining to both adults and kids. Like,
yes,
there's no excuse. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That is lazy excuses. Why?
Thurman, remind me, have you watched Gravity Falls yet?
No,
I'm telling you, bro. 2 seasons. It's one of the best cartoons I've ever seen.
Yeah.
See, that logic to me just kind of you can do that logic with anything. Like when people do like, well, it's not for you guys. It's not for you guys are adults. It's for kids. But I'm just like, but that logic can be used for anything though. But that's that you're giving these creators an excuse to shoot up bullshit, and then you complain about kids being too stupid. Like I remember a long ass fucking time ago, Fox News. I don't know what was Fox News. It was one of these dumbass.
Fox News is known for stupid.
They were just like, they're having a segment on SpongeBob. There was just like, there's a study that shows SpongeBob makes your kids stupider. They did a study. One group of kids were in the room reading a book. Other group of kids were doing other activities. And another group of kids were watching SpongeBob. And it showed that the group that watched SpongeBob had a harder time listening to the teacher than the other kids who were doing other shit.
Now, that doesn't surprise me.
And I'm just like, wait a minute. What are you trying to prove? Yeah. That your kids watch too much TV?
Yeah, like, that's not SpongeBob's fault. That's more like it's an ADD thing, right? Yeah. Because like cartoons are designed to like constantly be giving you stimuli.
Yep.
So like you get used to like I saw a great point someone was making on a TikTok a couple days ago. It was like your life has been constantly accelerating. You went from reading 300-page books to watching 20-minute cartoons to watching 10-minute YouTube videos to watching 30-second TikToks.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just how our brains are going. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's why we have like such a short.
It's one of the reasons we have a hard time like getting into like have you tried sitting down and like reading a book recently? It's so fucking hard. Go ahead,
I
David.
just
Sorry.
I just use audiobooks most of the time anymore.
Yeah.
Because I can listen to them while I'm doing other shit. Like if I'm playing a game that I've played a million times, like I'm
Or fucking bitches.
Yeah, I'll throw the Witcher on while I'm plowing somebody.
I really enjoy the visual of David with like a really pensive, thoughtful look while fucking someone and like listening
Just
to like
stoically
I don't know,
like
fucking
Geralt.
Shakespeare.
Fuck.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. And just like a muffled like.
Shut up! I'm trying to listen to Shakespeare.
Listen, I missed the plot twist because of your screaming a hago ass. Because of your moan.
Oh,
He,
Jesus fucking Christ.
Pauses and smacks her ass like, shut up! I'm trying to.
I gotta rewind now. But
He's like, he stops thrusting. He's like, hold on, this is the best part.
I'm going nut with the grunt.
That would be intense if yo bitch was moaning so hard that like you couldn't even hear through headphones. That'd be intense.
Holy shit! Oh.
So I dream you'd be that good at sex one day.
So I have a question for you both.
Yeah.
So when it comes to
30 minutes.
So when it comes to this new sort of thing, and I think is a good thing because it, like we said in the past, it's very, very good for people to be able to get their stuff out there. And I wish Nick and Disney did this shit too. Because
I love getting my stuff out there.
I don't know
Nick
the
used to
process
do
of how
something
you pitch
similar.
like a show to I'm pretty sure Butch Hartman probably explained it on his channel or whatever.
Ah,
but
fuck
I don't
him.
So I came in and I said, Jesus. And they were like, you're hired.
And I don't know how it goes when you try to pitch a show to a company, but like I think this is the perfect thing. And my question to you guys is, do you think that in the long run this sort of thing should be normalized when it comes like even for streaming services? Like, do you think like there should be like a good like because this is like a program block that like to me what I figured this is it pitches the pilots of shows, and depending on the shows that get talked about the most, they'll get greenlit for actual series, right?
I'm not sure entirely how it works. All I know is that they like give a bunch of people, because I don't think it's like new randos. I think it's people that have like at least some history in the field, and then they like will fund because like it takes a lot of money even to make a pilot. So I think what they do is they get people that they assume will make good shit. You know, like they look at their histories and then they say, okay, we'll give you all this much money to make a pilot, and then come back, and then the pilots that we like, or because I remember with Cartoon Institute, if I remember correctly, they made all the pilots, and then they get like a focus group where they basically bring in like a group of however many children, you know, different ages. They get some teens, some younger kids, and then they like show them all the pilots, and then they see how people reacted to each one.
Yeah, that's actually pretty smart.
Yeah.
Well, now that really isn't a super viable option. They could just throw it on fucking YouTube and just go through the
exactly
the analytics on that shit, because even we can go and be like, okay, so we're really popular with the 18 to 24 demographic.
That might be what they do, because I remember one of the things, I will never forget this. I wish I didn't delete it, but like I have proof. I promise you. I'll dig up the proof later. But when I was a very young kid, like middle school, I made a stupid, shitty YouTube poop of regular show, and it was from the Cartoon Institute version of the pilot. And the majority of it got at least 300,000 views. And the majority of the views were just people trying to find the pilot of regular show and being like, how did you get this before it aired? And I was like not knowing about Cartoon Institute. And I was like, I'm a freak, bro. I follow this shit.
But anyway, like just tweet out whatever for that from the channel Twitter if you're able to find it. I remember you showed
the only proof that exists, by the way, left is that I found on a regular show wiki, there was like a side article about people that made like the first YouTube poops of regular show, and my YouTube name was in there.
Yeah. So that just tweet that out from.
I'm gonna find it right now. Go ahead.
But anyway, like what I really want to do with this kind of moving forward, as like we continue to see these formulas come back in, like bringing back this pilot programs of cartoons, and I would love to visit some of these in a video if they throw them out. Like, okay, so this one, we like this. Kind of like we do with our why you should read or why you should watch. And give them a little bit of a spotlight here. Because obviously we're all passionate about shit like this. We're not just the manga channel. You know?
Oh, yeah. I would love to do when I'm finished with Adventure Time. I'd love to do a whole video on it.
Oh hell yeah! I'll fucking
and yeah, Thurman, did you finish all of Adventure Time?
I dropped it at I think the second season. I have to watch it again.
Ew, low tier shit. That's fair though. I understand. It gets like good at like season 4 and 5.
Yeah, I dropped at season. I think season 2. How many seasons are there?
10.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I dropped it like season 3 or season 4.
Can you please pick it back up? It's it's much like JoJo. First 2 seasons are like struggle to get through. 3, it's like ooh okay. 4, it's like
funny.
And then 5 and 6, it's like bruh. This
I actually did enjoy the earlier seasons of it. Like season 1 and season 2 were good. Like what season was it where Flame Princess and
that's not early. Flame Princess was season like 4, season 3, season 4.
Oh, maybe I did drop it at season 4. Because I think the last episode I saw was Flame Princess broke up with Finn because Finn's fucking retarded and he decided to
forced her and Ice King to fight because he got off on it.
Yeah. Never
forget and by the way I kind of vibe with Finn there. Finn was like getting off sexually to like Flame Princess beating Ice King's ass. Mm-hmm. And so he kept like instigating it. Yeah, no, that was like season 4 or 5.
Yeah, so that's where I dropped it.
Why would you drop it? Did you just by circumstance? Because it was so you didn't like actively like drop it and just stop watching it, yeah?
Yeah. I just stopped
so
watching.
Good.
I literally just it was just like like I was watching it, but I was just like I fell out of it because I didn't really care for
you missed how anime it gets, bro. In season 6, it starts having like an actual like running plot line, and like Finn literally loses his arm, bro. Oh my god, like he gets it ripped off. Oh,
yeah, so like I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I watched it. I've seen bits and pieces of the other seasons, but I need to actually get back into the shit. So I'm down for sure.
It's on Hulu and HBO Max, I think.
Yeah. Or just any random cartoon site.
Fuck I can't even with those anymore. I used to fucking watch cartoon online, but that's a fast track to a virus on your computer.
Well, I mean, after you had to like pay to have your computer repaired, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I dove and grabbed my Jolly Roger for the Shaman King reboot because it's not on any fucking streaming site here in America yet, and I'm like,
you gotta wait for a shitty dub.
No, it'll be on Netflix eventually. They usually do pretty good.
Pathetic.
So anyway, like what I was getting to when you were bringing up Adventure Time, I wanted to do a video on that. Like this formula really does harken back to our childhood, and it's something that's so fucking magical to see them actually care. Obviously, the motivation is fucking money because they're hemorrhaging it and views and everything. So from a business perspective, they've been failing for years.
Occasionally, business interests and consumer interests match up.
That's what I was trying to say there.
Yeah. Yes, because they do realize that things that are good tend to make them money. You know what I mean? There are a couple instances where you can find some fucking like inbred rednecks fucking their cousin that want to watch Family Feud every day for the rest of their lives. But occasionally, people like us, the cultured anime fan, we're a big fan of storytelling and characters and drama. And that shit makes money. So thank God.
It does. What I'm really just to wrap this up in like under an hour and a half because we're hitting.
I'm starting to wonder if I'm even gonna get a late truck tonight. They've still not called me.
Yeah, exactly. We're hitting an hour here. I want it to be under an hour and a half for fucking YouTube purposes. But I have 2 questions for both of you. What do you think will come from this? Will other networks decide to adapt this and go back to the old formula of like caring about what their viewers are instead of just like, oh, I'm going to throw this on. I'm going to throw this over here and this over here, this over here, and just.
So here's the thing with that.
Here's the deal.
I would love for that to be the case, but let me give you some background, right? So Nick is retarded. Nickelodeon's retarded.
Whoa, the hard R, bro.
They like to focus on shit no one cares about. So they're gonna focus on that live action shit and die on that hill.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney,
he's not entirely wrong.
And then
Oh,
Disney,
yeah, for sure.
right? For some reason, Disney likes to twiddle their fucking thumbs and also be retarded, and they don't know what they're doing with it. Because I heard that I don't even know what's going on.
I
With
think
Disney.
they're focusing on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, that seems to be their seems to be their major focus is Disney Plus.
I have a question. Has either of you seen? Because like I keep hearing things about it. There's a new Mickey Mouse show on Disney Plus that people are saying is kind of good.
I have no idea.
Well,
Yeah, I keep seeing clips of it. It looks pretty good. Like I gotta check it out.
It used to air like in between shows that ran at odd times, like that they would run a movie or a long episode of DuckTales or some shit, and they would air a Mickey Mouse short between that. I used to see that because I still pay for YouTube TV because I have to.
I think
have
this
some
is
of the,
exclusive to Disney Plus. This Mickey Mouse show. I'd have to check.
and they started adding more episodes of it to Disney Plus.
Let me check. Because it's even got like a really cool animation style. I really like it.
There's a bunch of different animation styles for them because a former partner used to throw it on for their kid, and they would just throw that on like, okay, here's this, and because they weren't allowed to watch the Baby Yoda.
Huh.
But anyway, like that was their like stimuli for that instead of having like the tablet or the phone in front of them.
They're stimmy, if you will.
But from my perspective, I really do agree with Thurman. Like Nick seems to be focused on this, almost hyper focused on this like live action side of things, and it's very detrimental to them. And they're throwing like the SpongeBob Camp Corral on some streaming network. They're not even putting it on the main.
No, Paramount Plus. That shit's gonna fit. Who the fuck is gonna buy that? Get out of here.
Actually, any Star Trek fan is because my fucking dad is a huge.
But I don't see that. You know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah.
Like you can just tell. You can get a feeling. Like Paramount Plus is not going to like. They might break even, but I don't see them being like a rousing success.
No, it used to be CBS All Access, and then they just rebranded it to Paramount Plus because they started throwing like all sorts of Paramount shows on. They're like, well, we're not solely CBS anymore, so. But my dad is a huge Star Trek nerd, and he fucking got it because of that, because of the Picard series on there.
Right, but that would be the kind of streaming service that you'd get to binge a show and then immediately cancel.
Yeah.
Whereas with like Netflix or Disney Plus, you keep that shit because there's so much on there.
Exactly.
Yeah, Thurman feels me.
Yeah.
I tell you, bro, I feel like as much shit as we give Cartoon Network with their business practices, they are nowhere near as bad as Disney and Nick right now, bro.
I agree.
God, like
Disney can fail for fucking eternity. They're so goddamn rich.
like these motherfuckers, dude. It's so funny to me that like you have companies that are so out of connect when it comes to like this is why people don't take American cartoons seriously. Like Cartoon Network is literally the only one that's actually caring about the most important thing that makes them money, the cartoon. Like,
Exactly.
Well, Disney.
Nick
It's funny that. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Like it's so like Nick has some of the best shows that rivals Cartoon Network. Like, remember, there used to be a rivalry between these two.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, they were trying to like. If you watch, I don't know if you guys watch one of my favorite cartoon YouTubers of all time. Yes, they exist. I think his name is Valksbrum. Really,
I know
really
who
good.
you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really, really good when it comes to cartoon content. Like, he literally talks about how there used to be a fucking rivalry between those two. Literally, they were fighting for dominance. Like, Nick literally dissed Cartoon Network, and then Cartoon Network came back. Literally, with an hour in like their little blocks, they had like a little chance that they bought a time slot, literally to have their cartoons on there and see like, hey, we can't. It was literally Double D being like, hey, we can't be in here often. But letting you know, come over to Cartoon Network. We have like great shows and all that, and it's just really, really fun. Like back then, it was creative banter between the two, and now Nick is just dumb. I don't know what
Like
they're doing.
the Crash Bandicoot fucking ads going to like Nintendo's office.
Yeah, because it's so funny to me. Like Nick, you had TMNT, you had shit. I don't remember most of the shit that they had now because it's been so long. Like SpongeBob is fucking stupid now.
Invader Zim, Fairly Odd Parents, Angry Beavers.
Like they had
Modern Life.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey Arnold.
Such good
Real
shit,
Monsters,
but now it's just,
Rugrats.
like they didn't even know what the fuck they want anymore. And then like Disney doesn't even care about cartoons no more.
Well, and I was gonna say something about that too. Disney's actually so big that like they're both able to fail and succeed at the same time. Because Disney, whoever's running Disney Channel is completely different from who's running Disney Plus, and completely different from who's running Disney Movies and who's running Disney. You know what I mean? So Disney Channel, I imagine, is just something they're just letting die, slowly in a corner as they like slowly move everything to Disney Plus. Because I have a feeling moving forward, new shows are going to come out on Disney Plus. They're not even going to fucking pay attention to their channels.
So yeah, just to add on to the red there, like they're closing down the physical Disney stores and focusing only on like an internet marketplace for that. They're slowly shuttering legacy parts of their company as they're acquiring new, because they're a monopoly. Let's call it what it fucking is. They're the Mouse Empire. They're too big to fucking fail. They have Marvel. They got Star Wars. It's like literally Thanos putting the goddamn Infinity Stones in his gauntlet here.
And then at some point, Disney and Amazon are going to do the fusion dance, and then like our puny human souls won't be able to stand the fucking spiritual pressure. And
exactly.
Like when Eisen walked by someone.
Exactly, but what you're spot on. They'll eventually just shutter the Disney Channel and focus solely on Disney Plus, because they have an insane, as much as I hate to say, they have an insane amount of future sites and know exactly where to move their chips. And
observation hockey on point.
They've got it all down to a science, and once they launched Disney Plus, I'm literally stumbling over my words here.
It's okay. We all stroke out occasionally.
They have, once they had Disney Plus launch, they had the most successful launch of fucking a streaming service of all time.
Oh yeah, that shit had some good stuff on it.
And now that they got the like WandaVision and Winter Soldier and all that stuff, they have the Marvel nerds on there. They have the people that are searching for nostalgia with the retro cartoons. Like when I saw fucking Bonkers was on there, I'm like, oh my god, this was my childhood. They have all the classic Marvel cartoons from when I was growing up. They have the newer ones that I watched and suffered through some of. And then they have like all of their retro cartoons, Phineas and Ferb. They have their like fucking all their legacy.
Yeah, Disney's being
shorts.
Smart because they're actually putting like effort into what they're making on their streaming service. You get the vibe that like Paramount is like low, like the new SpongeBob thing that's exclusive to Paramount. You get the vibe that like, oh, that's gonna be like a low tier, B tier sort of endeavor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm concerned for the Rugrats one, because if it's got the same amount of effort put into it as Camp Corral, which retcons SpongeBob lore for fuck's sake.
Yeah, exactly, right. So like, but as opposed to that, on Disney Plus, they got WandaVision, Loki, this new Captain America thing, which is not only like they have like the same, at least almost the same production value as like the movies, but they actually matter in lore. I think that's the huge thing. They're like putting out shit that matters to the Marvel lore that you have to watch, essentially.
Now, I gotta sit down and watch WandaVision. I gotta sit down and watch Captain America and Winter Soldier. I've got some binging of my own to do before fucking Black Widow comes into theaters, because I've been slacking on my Marvel because I've been reading a bunch of stuff for the channel and doing all sorts of other stuff on the side.
I loved WandaVision so much. It was like
I hear it was fucking marvelous, pun intended. But what the second question I have for you two is, now that we've entered into this era of like streaming services being like the sole source of our entire existence, basically, like we're essentially like that fucking episode of Black Mirror here, where if we're not up to fucking date on everything, we're not valuable to society. We're simply here for the ride of like, and this was really bad when Game of Thrones was super prevalent before it shit the bed at the end. Like, if you didn't know what happened in that, you were just going around, like, muting.
You're talking about how you have to fucking have watched something the millisecond it comes out.
Exactly. So now that we're in this, are we going to see cartoons become part of that culture? Because...
I mean, it kind of already is-ish.
Yeah. And now that we're in that... Part 2 of that. Now that we're in that era... Is that solely going to be our media consumption when we get to this like cartoons? because sometimes these pilots tend to take years and years to actually manifest from programs like this.
Oh yeah, I remember from Cartoon Institute to actually becoming a show is at least 2 or 3 years.
By the
That's a
time they
long
hit,
That's a long ass time.
yeah. So by the time they hit, will they be thrown onto HBO Max? Because
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who actually? Yeah, I guess it would be HBO Max for the cartoon ones, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
For the Cartoon Network ones.
It's even funnier too, the fact that like, because I know when it comes to Mao Mao, it got renewed for a second season, but where's the second season? You know what I mean? Like,
just give it a second, brother. Animation takes time.
It's not even that it takes time. It's that it's been announced for a renewal for a while, and they've been doing this with a lot of their shows. They've just been sitting on. They've been sitting for years on some of them. Like, this is being renewed, but we don't know when.
Yeah, like it's been a long ass time. So I'm just like, at that point, like, because no one talks about Mao Mao. Like, me and David are the only ones who know of it. You know what I mean? Like, and the thing is about Cartoon Network is that like cartoons are.
Remember, Villainous was supposed to come stateside, but it's only been on.
Yeah, that shit was supposed to be out a long ass time ago. I was waiting for that shit.
Yeah. Apple and Onion is solely on fucking HBO Max, it seems like. There's a lot of them that were supposed to be, and this harkens back to the beginning of the conversation. They were just used to pad HBO Max for its launch. And now that Warner seems to be focusing on that, like Genlock Season 2 for Rooster Teeth fans, that's going to be a year exclusive, if I remember correctly. A year exclusive on that.
I think that one of the biggest issues with the cartoon thing is getting the actual cartoons out there. Because I mean, there's no point in getting a cartoon if people aren't going to watch it. Like people, I think it's 2021 at this point. People are starting to understand that Bill Maher is dumb, and comics and cartoons aren't just for kids; it's for adults as well, right? Like you can.
I don't think that argument is valid after people have watched Invincible, Thurman.
Yeah, like you can be like 35 years old and still enjoy cartoons. Like
literally, the top grossing movie in the entire world is a fucking Marvel movie. So I mean, yeah, there's I know Avatar came back. I don't want to hear about it.
Like you can't be dumb and just automatically assume like, you can't be stuck in this like 90s. Like, you have to watch reality TV show. You have to watch sports. Like it's not. It's
unironically genocide all people like that.
You can't be the type of person like you're not mature if you watch cartoons. Like you're not mature enough, even though that same mature person probably paying all their bills, staying out of jail. Not a shitty person, shit like that. So it's just like
Republicans are more likely to beat their wives. Never forget.
Like it's you're like this idea of maturity that society has sort of like forced itself upon is certainly crumbling, and I'm so happy about that because like you can be 35 and still enjoy cartoons but like to go out and play football. Like it's stupid. Like you don't have to. Maturity doesn't necessarily mean like hell, like people make fun of bronies, but if you like My Little Pony, by all means.
The only thing that I would say is like it's when motherfuckers dress up like full like horse fursuit and like have weird like brony orgies. I'm like, I guess.
You go over there
because that falls into the topic of you've gotten a little too into it, right?
I mean that goes for furries in general. They can do some weird shit. But
and I think that applies to everything though. So
that's exactly what I'm saying. That would go for. Like if you were fucking going to like football cons where you're like fully decked out in football and tackling each other all day, I'd be like, that's a little weird.
I don't think that exists, but go off.
I'm giving them ideas.
Don't give the jocks any more ideas. They already harassed us in other school.
Should we start off at or start doing final thoughts because I am running very low on battery life.
Yeah. So I just want to weigh in on Thurman for 1 second there. Like you're absolutely spot on. Like there's that fine middle ground of like, don't let this media consume you, but also it is 100% like you do whatever the fuck you want as long as you're not hurting another human being or yourself. You enjoy the hell out of this fandom that you love. Consume
the media. Don't let it consume you.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. and my final thoughts here is just this, right? I am extremely excited for Cartoon. I would love, like, I even thought to myself, like, damn, I really want to go back and binge some American cartoons because I love that shit. Like,
Start with Adventure Time.
I'm literally thinking about going back and because I actually did that back in high school. I went back and I binged Generator Rex, the best idea ever. I fucking love that shit.
Until you watch Adventure Time.
I think because I actually do want to go back and binge Regular Show and Amazing World of Gumball.
Oh, I can't help but notice that you're dancing around Adventure Time.
The more you push him, the longer it's going to take him, my dude.
Brett, me and you, we're gonna cast.
Hell yes.
I'd rather watch that with you, buddy. So
okay, you have to look at season 1 like JoJo Part 1 though. Okay, season 1 you have to get through it, but it doesn't count. All right.
I mean, I actually like season 1, season 2.
No, you don't. I promise you don't.
But
season one is mathematical, Finn. All right, like we don't do.
We don't do that.
It was magical on its own, right?
No, Finn was like on Asta tier levels in season 1. I've never had a show go from like I'm so happy Thurman made me I'm so happy Dylan made me binge that shit because I started off hating it and now I fucking adore it. Like that's how big of a 360 or 180.
It does come and it has its moments there. My final thoughts here. Like also watched Adventure Time. God damn it.
Yeah, David.
my first.
What?
TMNT 2003 comes first.
Okay. I will give you TMT 2003 being a god tier.
Are you ready? I'm going to give you a bold statement, Thurman. I think Adventure Time is up there with One Piece on world building.
You're not wrong.
Oof. Okay, that's a huge claim. That's a huge claim. You're trying to fight the world government with that claim.
Honestly, it is the one. In world building, it is the One Piece of American cartoons.
I agree completely.
Like to say that is you're basically telling David, shoot down that flag. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying right now.
Shoot down the flag of every other cartoon that's ever attempted world building right now.
And you would be spot on correct.
Hell yeah.
My final thoughts being, once this program takes off, I would love to see if it actually succeeds in saving Cartoon Network, because we've talked around the subject, but they're slowly dying here and just feeding onto that trend of like give everything to the streaming service because we're abandoning ship like the fucking Titanic. But I do still believe there is a place, at least currently, for a network side of cartoons. It will eventually die, and everything will be fed off of your Netflixes, your HBO Max, your Disney Pluses, whatever survives the streaming wars. And
as someone who's been watching more YouTube and Netflix with my VR headset, I think that where we're heading is becoming a fucking skeleton in our beds watching streaming services all day, like fucking Kirito.
Yeah, I am here for that. I am here for that.
Because that shit comfortable, bro. Oh my god. It
is with the Quest 2 and that padding.
Yeah, you get like your own movie personal theater essentially. Yeah. And you can just sit in VR and pretend that you're rich.
Fuck the theater industry. Just throw me in a VR theater.
I actually do like movie theaters though. We need more things in the world that are like that force us to socialize. Otherwise, we're all gonna fucking kill ourselves.
I mean, just throw an IV in my veins and let me live inside Aincrad. Please fucking kill me.
I don't think Aincrad would be nearly as entertaining as you think. It looks very, very shitty to
me. You underestimate my love of fantasy MMOs, or just RPGs in general. Anyway, point being,
no chicky nuggies in fantasy MMOs, my friend. No lemon pepper.
I'll find a way. I will raise my cooking skill like Asuna and make my own. Anyway, like once we get past this little hump of getting these pilots out there, I really do want to see how they succeed, how diverse these worlds that they build are, or if they just stick to what they've been doing now as like what they put out there, because that will judge how much they actually care and how much is a publicity stunt for Cartoon Network as well.
Yep. Ding, ding, ding.
Because you can throw out a goddamn press release all you want. Like, Control Chaos is buying Amazon. And
that's one of the reasons why David is a big fan of announcing announcements. Where it's the thing that like Sony does a lot, where it's like, today we are announcing that on May 5th, we're announcing the announcement of the PS5, which will be announced in June.
Well, we've cultivated a mistake for some of the things I'm announcing. I'm like, okay, I'm giving myself a fucking limit for this one. I'm like, I have to get this shit started at some point, and putting it out there, like, hold me fucking accountable.
Yeah, that never works for me. I thought that would work, and it didn't. Fucking, I always want our skits to be a surprise, and then David, if it was up to David, bro, the whole skit would be out before the video's even out.
Here's a melon child in the fucking forest.
I was like, that gives away the whole joke.
But no, like, honestly, like, for some things, like, we have to be held accountable, and Cartoon Network has to be held accountable for the state of their network. Just like Netflix needs to be held accountable for axing everything that's actually getting ratings. Just because
Netflix needs to be held accountable for the live-action adventure Avatar movie they're about to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they are, because the creators just said, "Fuck you." We're going.
Yeah, it's still being made though.
Yeah, they like Shyamalan ding donged it. Anyway, Red, final thoughts for you before this hits an hour and 30 minutes.
Oh no, not even that one. There's another one coming, David.
I know they are, but they just said what they did is they said fuck whatever the creators want to do, like M. Night Shyamalan did. And
I thought you said M. Night Shyamalan was making the new one. And I was like, no.
I was saying they M. Night Shyamalan ding-donged it and said, fuck you.
That's one of my favorite flexes of all time, where they were like, no, the original creators were like, I actually hate this so much that I'm going to make my own studio to make it better.
I honestly want to see them adapt the fucking comics now, because that would be...
I'm so looking forward to that, man. Anyway, final thoughts for me. I'm hoping that this brings us more godly shit. I want to see I don't know, like it's just more stuff to watch, and I'm excited. And especially like Adventure Time has actually done a really good job at getting me back into the world of American cartoons. And I'm looking forward to that.
Watch Mau Mau.
Sure.
Yeah, Mau Mau's really, really good, bro.
Nothing will ever suck your dick as well as Adventure Time, but Mau Mau is a great place to start on like more modern cartoons that have been coming out.
Oh, it's so good. The characters, the comedy, and what makes it great too is that
the fucking choreography in that shit is on par with some anime too.
It's hyping up a lot of plot shit in the later seasons if it gets that far, which I'm really hyped about, because we only met his dad, so now we need to meet his sisters.
Yeah, so I figured the choreography would get you, Red.
Sure, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But ending off this video, everyone do their things.
Yeah. Peace.
I'm doing this for your sake too, because I know you wanted it under an hour and a half, right?
Yeah, exactly. Peace.
Go out and watch some cartoons.